That clock is slow. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you all for attending this meeting of the New Charm Town Council. I call the meeting to order. Today is Monday, August 4th. It is 7:01. Since we're doing a collective bargaining matter, this needs to happen in closed session. Am I right, Amy? Can I have a motion to go into closed?
So moved.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
no. The ayes have it. We're in closed. Having the same haircut over and over and over.
I could find the same barber over and over again.
Bill, have you gone to the same barber for years?
Yeah, that's good. Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah, reasonable too.
Yes.
5:30,
Yes.
but I want to make all the plans.
We have a target. For you guys, but also for YouTube, we were in closed session on a collective bargaining matter. Can I have a motion to seal the minutes?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Any public comment tonight? No?
No.
Nothing? Come on. Couldn't one of you just sort of? Yeah. Next, we have the consent items. Any questions about any of those? Anybody want anything off of there?
Are we on, wait a minute, did we miss C or do we?
We're,
it's talking
we're,
about
we're
three.
on 3, consent agenda.
Okay. Yeah, I had, just want to make a couple of comments on 1, a question on 3, a comment on 4.
Under correspondence you're talking about, Bill?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, it's on the correspondence.
Okay, so let's,
I apologize. I
go ahead, Millie.
missed.
Yeah, do you mind if I just make a recommendation?
Sure.
Please.
Instead of actually pulling it off of the consent agenda, I don't see any objection to, if it's just going to be a discussion matter, to discussing.
great.
And that way we can just keep it down to the one
Sure. I-
vote.
That,
Yes.
and if we need to pull it, we could. but,
Yeah,
this
Yeah,
is just
absolutely.
real-
That's great. So go ahead,
So-
Bill.
The question I had on the letter from Joseph there, it was, I thought he took the time, wrote a pretty good letter addressing some things. Is there any way that we'll be responding to him, or, I mean, he took the time. I don't necessarily agree with everything that's written in there, but I do think it's worthy of some type of response, and I don't know whether that should go to the town manager or a suggestion on that.
Sure, I have spoken to the chief about it, and so we will work together on a letter that comes from my office.
Great. And then on 3, the letter from Leo Leone, is that the same letter though? Is that a different letter or the letter that was on our last?
This
one?
is the
Really?
second, this is the second.
It's
So
different
he
than the
wrote
last one.
Mike Fenimore wrote one. This was the response to Mike
Okay.
Fenimore's letter.
I thought it was on the last one,
I'm
but
pretty sure. Is it, am I right about that? Yeah, because, yeah, it says, maybe we put it on twice in a row just to make extra special.
At the, his response to Heidi. Isn't that on the last agenda?
I'll be honest with you, it's a second, it's a rebuttal. A rebuttal of correspondence is going on. And we may end up choosing not to continue with that
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the future because
So-
it's not, I don't think it's an appropriate place for that.
my thing on this letter, I think this is more appropriate directed towards the police department, from that response. I think so, that's what we said on the others also.
Yeah.
And the other one was on 4, on historic district overlay. I just want to say that this was, I like what we received, and I like what was in the paper. It was much, much clearer than I think what was presented before.
I agree with that.
It made it real clear and so forth, so, I don't know if that was whomever that was, but thank you, if it was you, Millie, or whomever, but, I think it made it clearer for me. I know it's gonna make it clearer for the people that are affected by it, so thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 4 is, oh, absolutely.
Can somebody respond to Chris and tell him this isn't our matter? This is, this is not our fight, so.
Yes,
or is
and to the extent that each matter is just a little different, sometimes that becomes a hair splitting conversation. But I think on this particular specific topic, we can draw a line and acknowledge that everyone has been adequately heard.
But
So-
we don't necessarily.
And it is correspondence addressed specifically to the town council. And so that is where we've struggled a little bit to know when we can draw a line and still make sure everything being sent to the council is there for public viewing.
We have the same openings that we have had for several months. Item 5, what's our date for this public hearing? This is the one where Karen and Jen and planning and others have been working on the undefined terms in our ordinance, right? This is a really worthwhile project they've been doing.
Right, that's correct.
Yeah.
And it's scheduled, I'd like you to schedule it for September 2nd.
Can I have a motion to?
Which is a
schedule this
Tuesday.
For September 2nd, please.
So moved.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Oxy
Can
County.
I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
We'll have the hearing on the 2nd. If there's any, like, I'm trying to get a grasp on this whole.
Yes.
The changes to it and And I know Karen, I think, did a quick overview of, but why are we doing it? Is there, to get a little information, should we contact Karen on that or?
There should be a staff report at the planning board level that I can get to you first, and
That'd
then
be
if we
great.
have follow-up questions, we can go from there. There's also been a clarification of roles in that going forward for recommendations from the planning board like this, we're going to have Peter, the planner, in the room. Karen will be available more for the legal context, but we'll be hearing from Peter on those. But we'll get the staff report first, see if that answers some of your questions, and then we can provide additional detail ahead of time.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get a better understanding of why and what we're doing from that end of it. Not that I have an issue with it.
Yep,
Just so. for my
some additional
edification.
context.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I think if we're gonna be talking on Wednesday about tents, like, which I really don't want to, you know, they've got definitions if you're at trailer and shipping containers, which we should wait to see if that gets adopted.
Mhm.
Any comments on it that night of the hearing before we do anything further?
I think was that a rhetorical or were you asking me? Because either one is fine. I'd be happy to answer, but it wasn't. I don't know. My feeling is they'll draft what they draft, and if we don't need tents and storage containers, then we'll take it out. Amy, opioid settlement?
And you know, so in a different context, this could have just been a consent item, but in going through some of the historical record, it wasn't clear that all of this had been in front of the council as a comprehensive overview. So I wanted to go back and do that, particularly for those who may not have been
Yeah.
involved previously. This goes back to 2022. I think most of us followed, at least in the news, that Rhode Island had entered into national opioid settlements with the three major distributors that had since been expanded to some of the other entities that were involved in the production and distribution of opioids. As part of that process, the cities and towns entered into an MOU with the state of Rhode Island defining how those funds would be distributed. And so that's a 20% share to the communities based on a population distribution, and 80% to the state that's administered by a committee with some set parameters. To date, we've received just over I think it's $37,000 since
It's
2022.
been that much,
It
really?
has been that much.
I'm surprised by that.
Some of the very early numbers in particular were $400,
Yes,
$700, and so it didn't feel very material. There have been some larger settlements since then. There has also been some, as part of the agreement, some of the distributors have been required to pre-fund all of their distributions
okay.
rather than spreading it over a 10-year term. So there's a combination of settlement
Gotcha.
agreements, if you will. This is in front of us today because there's a new settlement that's been proposed with Purdue as part of their bankruptcy proceedings. And so in order to participate in that settlement, the town would need to do two things. One, execute a participation form, which you have in front of you, and then also amend the MOU with the state of Rhode Island. That's the third amendment. So those two things are in front of the council for execution today. But again, I wanted to provide a little more background for anyone who wasn't up to speed.
And my sense is they won't be taking input from our solicitors on this.
No, not at this point. Not at this point. Yes. The high level is actually this phrasing that's in my memo. Opioid use disorder prevention, intervention, treatment, and recovery. So that's actually some legal phrasing. The state's committee has been fairly active in defining exactly what that looks like at a state level. For quite some time, Matt Moynihan was on that committee. And so he was, in a way, engaged in the town's interests and municipality interest. He is no longer serving in that capacity, so we're still getting up to speed on exactly what other municipalities are doing. My sense so far is that they have not been aggressive in distributing the funds because the committee is still doing their work. We have not expended anything under the program, so we're still holding that revenue.
Do we get the dollars by right? So it's not like
There's a clawback provision,
there's a
but yeah,
clawback, but not an application.
correct.
And was this like $35,000? Was that booked in this past year, or is it in the current year?
So it's whenever it is received, you'll actually see it in the department, other town revenues and fees. Towards the very bottom, there's a line negotiated settlement. That line may include other things in any given year, but that's also where the opioid settlement funds are
Right.
recorded. From an accounting standpoint, it's actually deferred revenue that doesn't get recognized until we expend it. So it sits there, accumulates until we have met the eligible expenditure criteria.
So the funds that we've received already earmarked for prevention and so forth. So within our structure, would that be probably Allison's department, or what department would probably be?
You know, that's a great question. Like I said, it originally, because that department didn't exist, was residing in the police department. Now I think it'll be more of a holistic approach that involves police, human services, and probably the medical center in a coordinated.
So the new round of funds that are being earmarked out, do they have the same restrictions
Yes.
as the first set?
Yes.
Do we have a ballpark idea of what we expect to receive from the new
I
rounds?
I don't on this one, and part of that is because each of the settlements is dependent on who participates. And so I don't know what the lump sum is, but then it's also distributed based on who opts in. So. But other questions or?
No, I think I think that's great that the funds are coming down. I get frustrated sometimes when they divide them up by population. And in that, as you know, in the past, we've done that with burn money and so forth. We were able to make a case, you know, that there's a set bit number, you know, a base on that. So, but I'm glad to see that those funds are coming from that end of it. And I think that when we're making this, we'll probably include the medical center as far as because, you know, what they can contribute to what might be prevention.
Yep.
Thank you.
So you need from us a motion to approve the modification to the memorandum of understanding. And what's the second one?
The submittal of the participation.
The middle of the participation form. Can we, Millie, can we take care of both of those in one motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Okay.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Amy, can I ask,
Yeah.
were they asking us to create a local committee for these funds?
No.
Okay.
At least not that I've seen.
Next is something I'm recusing on, as I've probably told all of you individually or as a group. Because of Susan's role on the medical center, I have got a few years ago now, sought and got an opinion from the Ethics Commission that urges me to recuse if my wife is appearing before the council, which she may. So that's the way it goes.
Right, so this is discuss an act on the approval of the amendment to the lease agreement with the health services, expanding the use of the housing. It looks like all of the housing, there's the old Davidson house, whatever you built behind, and the doctor's house, to include housing for the chief executive officer. Who's your name?
There you go, we're on. Yes, that's correct. We are asking for an amendment to the lease to allow flexibility in using all of the housing on the property. I did want to take this opportunity to say to you all, to say to the community that the Block Island Health Services is actively searching for a doctor. I want to clear that up because there's been some misconception or some assumptions because it hasn't happened yet that we're not still pursuing that. We absolutely are. While we are on that track, fighting nationwide, statewide shortages of especially primary care physicians, which we all read about, we are sitting with an empty house on our property, which we all know it's not good for any structure to sit unused. And We also have a very valued member of our staff and our CEO who could use that as an option. And I want to stress it's an option. We're not saying that person will definitely move in there, but that is an option that we're looking for. The original lease stated only providers. So we just wanted to open that up as a possibility. I also want to stress that when we are to find a doctor, that person would move into that home. So any putting of anyone else there is on a temporary basis. So again, it's just seeking flexibility to use the resources that we all share. Obviously, it's town property, and we just want to be able to maintain that property and serve the community's interests.
So the housing currently that you have.
Mhm.
I think referred to as the Davidson house.
Right, I know it as a Davidson house too. So just to review, there is what we've always called the doctor's house, which is on Payne Road to the left of the medical center building when you're standing on Payne Road. Behind the facility is what we're calling the Davidson house. That has been occupied by one of our nurse practitioners for many years. Then behind that, we have one of the new structure, which we've just finished about a year ago, and that houses our transient providers. So for instance, Tom Hoban, our physical therapist, when he comes in, he stays there on a short-term basis and then leaves, and then it's ready for someone else. So it's always a transient situation. Wood River Health dentists come in and stay there now on a somewhat regular basis so that they can provide 2 days of care and spend the night here. And that's always been the purpose. It's been a transient space. There are also 4 single rooms in that same building with a common living space dedicated to the 4 single rooms, and that's used for our education program for our residents and medical students and other medical professional students who come in. So those are all of the different housing structures that we have. Mhm.
Would your internal policy have written up that should you hire a doctor, like the arrangement that you have for anyone that you put in there would have X amount of time with it?
Yes, we would try to be very responsive to the need when we find a doctor to have that housing available. So that's
What type of lease or rent arrangement would you make in the interim with someone if they were to stay there, since you're still actively looking for a doctor?
well, we're still figuring that out. You know, we're talking about maybe a year-to-year lease, maybe a 6-month lease, but that's something that we want the flexibility to, determine, okay, how long might it take, if we have somebody in the pipeline to get them on board and then have, the stars align and the transition happen in a timely fashion. Because we don't want to hold up having a doctor by having somebody in that place.
So you say you did, because that is a question people ask.
Yes, certainly, and I understand.
You're still actively pursuing.
Mhm.
Is there anything promising or where we stand at this point here? Or?
I think I can say we have some leads. How promising they are, I'm afraid to say, because we thought we had somebody and it didn't work out. We almost had somebody else that didn't work out. So I don't want to set up false expectations, but it is absolutely our objective is to meet the community's healthcare needs, and finding a doctor, as we understand, people want that. If we can do that, that's what we're going to do. But you look at the news and it's a tough environment. So that's part of the reason it's taking so long. But it's only been 6 months since Dr. Workup left. So feels like a long time, but
It is a long time in the summer for
yeah.
when
Yeah. And I'd like also to use, to use this microphone literally to give credit to our incredible staff and the healthcare providers as a whole on this island who who do just a tremendous, tremendous job. So we're very grateful as community members as well as board members.
Is the CEO on island full-time?
She is,
No
yes,
remote work there.
correct, correct.
Where is
Yep.
she currently? Is she on the property now?
She lives on her boat. And so she's seeking wintertime and year-round housing. Yes. And she's been 4 months on the job. We are very happy with her performance. She has been a real, well, she's a professional. She knows healthcare, she knows, and she gives us very good data, which I know you all rely on, and it's, yeah.
The advertisement for the doctor, right,
Mhm.
still includes housing.
Correct,
with big providers.
correct.
At one time, the term you were seeking, I understood, was 5 years.
That's what we'd like. I mean, nobody wants any shorter term turnover, but it's, well, I'm not sure that's a required term to sign. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's negotiable, of course, but I mean, we're looking for a sustainable, longer term provider. Yeah. And so we're doing all we can to ensure that those providers stay. And that's one of our major objectives. Of course, nobody likes that turnover. For sure.
So I don't have any problem changing the description. I think it makes sense. Doesn't make any sense to have that house empty. And obviously you're going to have to shift people around when you hire a doctor, but I mean, I think we should expand the description to accommodate the flexibility that you need to operate.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I would make that as a motion.
I would like to, I'd like to say, I agree with that in the sense that we got 2 buildings that are empty and we need to get some bodies in there. No question about it. I think that, I'd like to relook at our own, arrangements we have for the town manager's house, the policy we had set there. I think that's something we can look at. I think, as far as, who we put in and who we and availability, but I think this will resolve. I think this would be a better fit within the property from there, would give you the flexibility. Plus the second part to this would be that, you're gonna want a doctor and you're gonna do what you're gonna do to move people around if you
Mhm.
should get someone. So,
Yes.
I don't have objection to that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Susan, can you ask him? Pardon? Is your mic on? Thank you.
Oh.
Oops.
The one major question I've had all summer from everybody is what's going on with the search for the doctor. Can your board be more active in putting things in the paper or putting things on the bulletin board or putting on the, on our website, just to keep people informed?
Yes, well, I'm hoping that the news gets out from tonight, that we are indeed actively looking for a doctor. Yes, we can certainly be more creative in sharing the message.
I think so, because the
you.
Block Island Times doesn't necessarily pick up everything that happens at the council meeting, so I wouldn't rely on.
Yeah, maybe a letter to the editor or something like that.
Yeah,
Sure, sure.
exactly.
Thank you.
They have like a headhunter or something for this position.
Yes, we have had some help, and we have many, many, many leads, or people reaching out into the medical community for us. Yeah.
How many applicants to date have come to the island to visit
We had 2. Yep.
since workups leaving?
Yes, yes, yes.
And I think by putting this out, I think people they understand the challenges that all medical is having.
Yeah, you look at the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't see it as it's gonna be a shock, but I think if people are, if they kept up to speed from that end of it, I think that
Yes,
at least they're gonna know it's not because
Yeah.
it's not for the effort you're putting into it.
yeah, communication matters. You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anything else? We're up.
8. I have an easy one. Amy, do we have a policy on PR?
We don't. We don't have a written policy.
Is that something, that's something you would work on, being with staff?
Yes. Do you have particular concerns that you want
I
to
don't have
address?
concerns. That was just maybe something we should look at when we have large scale events. I
It-
think there should be something with department heads and your office before any statements are released.
Sure.
Just-
And Bill brought up, taking another look at our policy for the manager's house. Can we,
Yeah.
can we put
Yeah.
that on and talk about?
And I want to add, we had talked around budget time about putting some, having some better communication with some of our community groups that receive funding from the town.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if we could circle back to that.
Sure.
So that would be like early learning center, police, not police, fire and
Services.
yes.
And if Paul gets that, the letter that had been written about, mopeds, bikes and everything, Mr. whatever his name was, can we get some feedback on that too? Because people are still puzzled as to what's allowed, where it's allowed, mopeds, electric bikes,
The scooters.
the scooters and the EVs.
So it's clarification from Nick's office just to go through the state statute, how it reads.
I thought you were gonna say, can you make sure Paul gets this thing from Bridger Price since he's the noise man?
We are working on noise and he will get that. Yes.
The more data we have, the less ash.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding.
Lots of data. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Before we do that,
Sure.
can I just raise a question? It is 7:30 on a Monday night, and it was a really light agenda. So I guess there's a part of me that says, why did we add those 3 items on Wednesday of this week? Instead of, I'd much rather have had them on the agenda tonight. We could have devoted an hour or so.
It's because it's a regularly scheduled work session, tends to have that approach.
Well, yeah, but technically our work session is the 3rd Wednesday. We've been picking up meetings on the first.
Work sessions are the first Wednesday of the month.
They are. Then what's the 3rd Wednesday? Just a
The
regular?
third Wednesday is the regular meeting. It's the interim meeting at 7:00.
Okay,
It's your second regular council meeting.
okay. But it just seems like, I mean, getting home at night, even at 8:30, we've been doing that for a couple of weeks.
Would
If
you
we-
like us to stay later?
Well, no, but if the agenda isn't robust,
Yeah.
Well, and the truth is our work sessions and our council meetings, there's not a lot of difference between them. We vote on work sessions at one time used to be, you didn't vote, I'm talking going way back, it wasn't many votes on a work session, it was more of the topic. And they've kind of morphed into a council meeting, as far as the ability of what we can and can't do.
So I would love to probe that idea a little bit with the group because in my mind, I do still think of a work session as a little bit different, where we try to schedule topics that have a bit more roundtable type discussion, either amongst
Yeah.
the group or with the audience. And so we actually do split agenda items in that way. But if that's not how it's feeling for the rest of the group, that's important feedback.
I'm good with it. Work sessions to me are things that usually you wouldn't be voting in them, unless there's something extraordinary that comes up. And it's where you kind of, you have something you want to devote more time to than having 10 things on a agenda. I get that. But over the years, and I'm talking over the last 8 years, whatever it might be going back, they've seemed to kind of had morphed into more action than they were to work on it. So I like that concept, what you're saying. I don't want to change that.
Yep.
Yeah. We should use the work session, because then if there were going to be any votes, it would go on the third Wednesday agenda as a follow-up. You know, if there was something that needed to be acted on after we had the discussion.
Give you time to digest it and then go back and vote on it.
So I'm going to take this opportunity then to apologize to everyone for being here late. I'm sorry I got caught up with some work stuff. But also I don't know if it makes sense. Just, I know it was a late agenda tonight, but it just as easily couldn't have been may not have been a late agenda, or late agenda. It could have been a late agenda, like where we run till 9. So, I mean, that would have to be a clerk decision to whether, to move things around, but I think it's just the way things land.
What's ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not ready.
Right, right. I think it's just the way things land. So,
Amy, also or Keith, perhaps the stuff on the bikes, Paul's done a really good, the chief has done a really good job with the noise. He probably can do a condensed version also on that also. He's
Yeah.
if he might be able to at some point.
That'd be great.
Just to manage expectations, I don't expect that from him until after Labor Day at this point, just so that everyone is
Sure.
prepared for that timing.
Today's coming, baby.
So what?
I have a motion to adjourn. Second, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.